Jewel School special awesomeness that we've got going on for you. We have this show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, or if you are on Central Time like I am, it's noon. Today, well, it's March, right? So, of course, we have to talk about aquamarine. It is actually one of my very, very, very favoriteest stones in the whole wide world for me. It holds a very super special emotional meaning, and I'll kind of share that story with you later. We've got projects. I've got some earrings. I've got some more earrings. If you are tuning in from home, from work, you're hanging out on your lunch break, please drop into the chat. Give me a hey. Let me know what's up. If you've got questions, comments. We've got some really, really spectacular untreated aquamarine. And so one of the things that we're going to be talking about today is also, hey, why do some gemstones really command this premium price, and how are other things more affordable? So that's kind of where we're at today. And if you've got requests for future shows, you should definitely let me know in the conversation. Okay, let's chat. Let's have a little give and take. Let's hang out. We have this time together every Thursday on jtv.com/extra. So yeah, let's do it. I want to start the show with the Mac Daddy super awesome strand. There is only one of these. So to the best of my knowledge, this is the strand that you get if you order it. And this is exquisite. It's bonkers, right? This is fantastic. The center stone, I think, is right around the 11 millimeter mark. And then back on the ends, we're in like the 5 and 6 millimeter. I think this is a substantial strand. I think it's 24 inches. I'm going to just check my notes. 21 inches. So it's 21 inches. It's got sterling silver findings. It's ready to wear. I mean, but if you're watching Jewel School, chances are you probably know how to make this and turn these into something awesome. Plus, we'll be talking about it. The reason that this stone, well, there's a few reasons that this particular strand is super duper special. For me, number one, this is a natural, untreated strand of aquamarine. So for us, when we are living in bead world, most commonly the stuff that you and I are kind of hanging out and getting, it's been treated. Usually it's heat, dye. Not that there is anything wrong with that. Like, it's great. It makes the stones look beautiful. It makes them more affordable. But if you are a collector of what I would consider like fine beads and gems, what really does start to matter is whether or not it's been treated. So when we get a really deep saturation like this super intense blue, and there is no treatment, it's a really big deal. This strand is a treat yourself strand, right? It is a strand that says, hey, I am investing in exquisite materials for myself because I enjoy them and I love them. And I want to know that I'm kind of working with the very best materials that I can. One of the great things, because we are doing this in partnership with JTV and Jewel School, is you have your stretch pay, you have your JTV preferred card. You can click up over my shoulder right there and kind of get the details, get the confirmation that when I say that this isn't treated, like, yeah, a gemologist has looked at this and checked it out. It isn't treated at all. It's not, it's not the most inexpensive strand of aquamarine that you're going to ever find, but it is definitely one of the most exciting and exquisite. The other thing that for me personally is really exciting about this strand is I've had an opportunity to have several conversations with the fine gem hunting gorilla, John Papajohn, who does the mining, the scouting, the going out into the wilds of Madagascar and scouting these mines, going underground, helping to get the rough material out, and then ultimately, bringing it over and letting us have it. So we have a lot more of the backstory on how this came from the ground up to the surface and then ultimately into our hot little hands. If you love this strand and are wanting something just a smidgen, well, okay, not a smidgen, a whole lot more wallet friendly, we also have a smaller strand that is kind of a 3.5 to probably, our description says it's a 3. To me, these are a 3.5. We're looking at a 3.5 to 6 millimeter. So same exceptional quality on the stones, right? Just gorgeous, but just a little bit smaller. The carat weight goes down, price goes down, right? These are my absolute unmissable, oh my gosh, grab them. I know Sarah gave us some special pricing on these guys, and the quantities are super limited. These are absolutely amazing, unique, specialty strands. These are going to be great for you if you as a designer really, really care about natural, untreated, and then also wanting to know a little bit more about the provenance and being able to say, yeah, like this came from a small artisan mining operation. The person who actually presents them is someone who's been in the mine. Like it's just a fun backstory. And John Papajohn is an absolute riot. So it brings some good and fun energy to them. I am going to put us on hold for a hot second so that I can flip us around and we can kind of get into the tutorials and the nitty gritty. So I am going to put you on hold for a second. I will be back and we will move on and talk about more fabulous things. Hold please. Aqua's just insane. So for my friends who are experienced aquamarine lovers, you're recognizing this is an absolutely fantastic, super desirable color, but we can also find aquamarine in other colors as well. So I rated my stash to kind of give us some reference points to understand why we think these are so special and why they command that premium price. Again, these are natural and untreated. These are lovely, but they have been dyed to high heaven. And I love them, right? These are for my personal stash. They're affordable, but they're dyed, right? Like that's lovely, but not, again, same kind of thing. Here, we've had stones that have gone through routine heat treatment and still we're not, right? They're not as clear. They're not as desirable of a color. They're definitely skewing more green. They're more opaque, right? As opposed to, whoa, knock your socks off, super gemmy. Here we're going up a grade, but we're still really far off that mark. And when we are talking about why some stones really command a true premium in price, what we're looking at is, wow, these are translucent to transparent. Their color is really desirable, right? Aren't they gorgeous? The other thing that I really love about these stones is there's a substantial hole size. And oftentimes when we are looking at higher end beads, people tend to skimp on the hole size because they want to keep the carat weight up. And what I really appreciate these is these definitely have a hole size that's big enough to fit an 18 gauge wire, I'm pretty sure. For sure a 20 gauge. So it's not going to be I have these giant beads, but I'm using, teeny tiny wire to work with them. If these are not in your beady budget in the near future and you want an aquamarine fix, don't worry, my friends. We also have these guys, right, who are a faceted rondelle, like a good classic staple have in your stash stone in today's show. If you want to pick something up that is just a classic, hey, I need a quick birthday gift for a March friend, or I am an aquamarine lover and I need an aquamarine fix, this strand is absolutely kind of where you want to go for today. If you want to pick that up, you can just right over in the corner, get all the details, find out what the stretch pay is. Yeah. See, aren't those fun? And these are a machine cut, so they're super precise, super sparkly. They look like they also have an ultrasonically drilled hole, but it's a little bit smaller. I would say you can use probably let's see, I'm going to look through these, not through my camera, and make sure you're for sure going to be easily able to use a 26, maybe even a 24 gauge wire with these, right? These are really well drilled, super sparkly, and fun. Now, if you have decided that what your life needs are some fantastic smooth aquamarine rondelles, you can make projects like this. The fun thing about the strands that we were showing earlier are this guy, right, is we've got a graduated strand, so we can really play with how we're composing our designs. Now, I happen to have some very treated smooth aquamarine rondelles that look really close to this. So I used those for the design, but I'm very happy that they look similar, so it can kind of give you an idea of where we can go with these. What's holding this whole piece together, get that in focus, is that we've got this frame shape on top to just, we've just got a basic, hey, I've got a medium, a slightly larger, and some smaller beads. But what gives us that chandelier shape is this little ice cream cone thing going on the top. So what we're going to look at is how we put together two pieces that are exactly the same and then start to kind of put this whole thing together. Now, I happen to use gold fill wire. That's my personal preference. I like it. I feel like if I'm going to take the time to really put together an awesome pair of earrings, I want to use the nicer stuff. And especially if I was working with these, I would be using the full solid carat gold, just as an FYI. Like, these are glorious. So I have my two pieces of 22 gauge wire, and I'm going to make sure, just for my sanity, that my ends are cut flush. I don't want any little pointy ends, so I'm just coming in and kind of trimming. I'm using the flat end of my flush cutter, and I'm just going in and just double checking to make sure that they're truly flush. Now, if you have a parallel pliers or a Wubbers or all of these wonderful, wonderful things that Susan and Alicia and Katie and now Laura are always showing us, that's great. Whip these out. If you don't, do you know what also has a fantastic shape? The handle on our pliers, right? So I can use this as if it's a mandrel. And for our purposes today, we're doing this scaled up quite a bit so that we can see it more easily and hopefully things will focus. So I am wrapping around the handle of my pliers so that I've started to get, now this isn't perfect, but we're going to be wrapping stones over these and work hardening them and doing that, but that gives us a chance to start to create that smoothing. Now, if I wanted something smaller, I could use my pen. I could use another kind of pen, right? We have all sorts of objects around us that can alter our shape. If I wanted to take it down a lot, I can go here, here, woo, right? And now we've got a much, much smaller shape. It's also work hardened it a bit because I've gone in there and done this. So I'm going to bring it back to where it was before. Let's see, we're going to grab our reference piece right here. So on this piece, I did my loops going out, which I'm on the fence about, but let's repeat it for this one just for sake of argument. There. And I'm just kind of going through and smoothing these. I ended up using a dead soft wire. Had I used a half hard, I wouldn't need to be doing quite as much finessing right now to try and get it to be pretty again. And I am going to, I ultimately just went with way too much length on these. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to shorten them down by quite a bit. And let's see, for the sake of saving wire, I'm going to work from one end since we're already dealing with kind of a circle anyways. And then we're going to go right about there. And this means that I've got these little pieces of wire that I might actually be able to use from something else rather than trimming from side and side. All right, so I'm going to come in and I can see that these little spots right here aren't as pretty. So I'm going to come in, make sure they hold together, and I'm going to use my little sneaky mandrel trick to try and get them back in. Oops, get it in focus. There we go. Now this still isn't perfectly round. I'm okay with that because we're going to be going in and creating some edges anyways. I'm going to make sure that these guys are level. And I'm doing both pieces at the same time because if you have ever made earrings before, you know it is a giant pain to try and get everything to be the same each time. So if we can ever possibly do both pieces at the same time, we do both pieces at the same time. I'm going to give these a little flip. And then I'm going to get those all the way to the right. Sorry, we're going to get a nice right angle here. And then I'm going to come over on this side. I'm gonna give myself another little floop. So I have my little smiley face shape right here. And I've got a little bit of unevenness that I'm going to correct. There. And, oops, there and there. And we've kind of corrected this. Now, because these are pretty small, it's going to be really hard to bend all my loops at the same time. So I'm going to set down one of my pieces rather than trying to bend both pieces at the same time. That's just going to make my life real, real sad if I'm trying to do both at the same time. To make my loop, I want to be starting at the very end of the piece of wire and the very end of my round nose pliers. There. And I'm going to start rolling, trying to keep everything in focus for you. And it started rolling on me a little bit as I've moved, so I'm going to keep finessing the wire. We're just going to kind of see what happens here. So right now I've got kind of a mangled loop going on, and we have a chance to see how we can correct that. Got my chain nose pliers. I'm going to bend it back towards myself and try and get it flat again. There. So now I'm going to go here and keep going. And you can see here where, because I haven't pre-work hardened it, the good news is that now once this is all done, we can go through and kind of do our shaping again. And now I can come through and I'm there. And I think we're even flat, yeah. And we will go through and we would go and we'd do our other side. We'd put it on our bench block. We'd give it a pounding with our rawhide mallet, our plastic mallet, and then we would be ready to start wrapping. Now for these, I just took some random stones that I had hanging out. If you wanted to do a solid color look, these little 2.5 to 3 millimeter aquamarine rounds would work great in here. I really wanted to set up the flash of green that we have in these guys, so I wanted to add a little bit of color in there. But I used a 30 gauge wire actually to wrap these in place, but you could also use a 22. I would not recommend using a 22, but you could also use a 28, maybe even a 26, depending on the beads. Right, there you go. The other thing that I think is a really useful little design tip to have is to know how to make your own bead caps with, I'm gonna hold this so you can see it, how to make your own bead caps when you have a head pin, right? We don't always have the exact size of bead cap that we need, but we can kind of make our own. Let's see. All right, I do in fact have a head pin. All right, I have my head pin. I have my smooth rondelle and have my round nose pliers. I am a big fan of just using my round nose pliers for this. It saves a little step. I'm going to fold it, right? We're doing all the things that we normally do on a wrapped loop to make the most perfectest wrap loop that we know how to make. And we're going around. We're making our classic loop shape. To keep from marring our wire, we are going to hold gently and firmly with our chain nose pliers, and I'm going to be wrapping down and around. Now I ended up with way more height than I wanted here, but I think this is actually going to make for a really cool look, so we're just going to let it ride out. And we're going to keep going, right? And now you can kind of see how we're starting to make our own cap here. Oops, there we go. Make sure that it's in focus. And so you can see we've got our little spiral. I'm going to come in with my side cutter, give it a little cut. And now, because I feel like, there we go. Because I feel like that piece looks just a smidgen awkward, I'm going to come in with my chain nose pliers and just give that a teeny little tuck under. And it just keeps it from being as likely to snag. So if I'm running my finger over it, it's not catching me, because that will just makes it look a little more finished. It'll look nicer in photographs and all that, especially when we're taking pictures of our jewelry and it's at a 2.5 time or more magnification. All those little things, they show. Now, if you are not an aquamarine person, my friends, fret not. It is National Craft Month. We have a deal courtesy of Jewel School and the amazing people behind the scenes, where it is a pound of mixed beads. Whatever you get might not look like what I got. I haven't had a chance to totally fiddle with this yet, but in this case, it looks like we've got one that's a double drilled donut. We have some agate. Whoops, we're dropping beads left and right because we're overly full. We've got something that looks like lava. I tell ya, we've got a synthetic malachite. Looks like we've got a little bit of amethyst. If what you want is major bang for your buck, this is where you go. If you say, hey, I need gemstones. I need many gemstones. I need lots and lots of gemstones because I want to start my gemstone collection. The place you want to go is this pound of beads. It's all month long. So get one, try it out, start playing with it, get obsessed with it, and then take home a bunch more. If you are looking for a way to really have a lot of beads and a wide variety of shapes without spending a ton of your time on shopping, this is great. A lot of times we talk about how we don't know what we like to work with until we have a chance to work with it. And so bags like this, when you get a whole bunch of a lot of different materials, it gives you a chance to go, oh, I think I prefer a faceted round to a traditional round, or I really do prefer an organic shape. And a lot of those times we don't know what it is that we like until we get it in front of us and start playing with it. So if you're just feeling like, man, I need something different than my same old, and something that's not what I am just gonna buy for myself. Like, I never buy neutrals, right? I'm always going for colorful things. For me, what I'm getting from this mix is there's a lot of fun shapes to play with in white and tan and brown. And whenever I get really good browns in front of me, I end up realizing that they pair really well with blues, with pinks, with greens. And I forget about how kind of multifaceted and useful these staples are. So I'll be playing with this pound of beads all month long. You should get some and kind of try them out because they are super, super fun. All right? I'm excited to dig through that and hopefully stop throwing beads every which where. And just a last look before I have to pack these lovelies off and send them home to you, right? These are gorgeous. These are glorious. These are fantastic. These are also lovely and a lot more affordable, and will really be a nice all-purpose neutral. One of the fun things about aquamarine is because it has kind of that blue cast, is it's going to pair really nicely with your other, let's see if I can hold all the things at once. So you see how just pairing it with that really dark green, oops, get that in focus, really pops in that spot. Or if we pair it with that really intense blue, I'm gonna scooch these out of the way. So the fun thing about these smaller beads is they're going to be a sneaky non-neutral neutral for you. Whenever we're dealing with more pastel beads, with something that's, I'm gonna try and get these out of the shot so we can see better. Whenever we're dealing with something that's less saturated, we can look at what kind of our undertones are and look at how we can play them up and how we pair them. So we know that we're already dealing with something that's kind of cool. So that means, yeah, this nice icy blue is gonna look great. Our green is gonna look great. Let's see. If I am going, hey, I really don't want these to show as being blue, maybe I throw in an orange. I'm gonna move some things here. maybe I throw in an orange, and now do you see how it looks almost yellow when we when we pair it with that orange? So yes, it's aquamarine. Yes, its base color is this icy blue, but it doesn't mean it needs to stay that way. And we can use that same trick when we're looking at how we pair it with cords, the other gemstones we pair it with, all those things. We can kind of morph this. Think of it as like mixing paint, right? If you take a little bit of white paint and you put a little bit of purple into it, suddenly it's going to look more purple, right? The light's reflecting off of this. Now we have something that's going to look a little more lilac, right? Super fun. I am going to attempt to set these down without spilling any more beads and turn the camera around so that we can, have a little chat before we wind up. So hang on for 1 second. I'm going to flip the camera and I'll see you in a hot second. Right? Somewhere there's a picture of me just dripping in these insane aquamarines when they first arrived. So saying goodbye. I hope that one of you out there is going to give them a loving home. I was told that I was not allowed to give them a loving home, that I had to give you a crack at them, and that makes me sad. So if you are the lucky person who gets to take that strand home, please love it the way that I would have loved it. If you have questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, heck, I can take criticisms. I'm a big girl. You can connect with me on social media, or you can, throw comments in here during the shows. But you can find me on social media at bead.snob, or on Facebook at beadsnob, right? Like, hit me up. Let me know. Ultimately, our Thursday time together is what we make of it together. So if you know that what you want to see is a tutorial on basket weaving woven earrings, I will figure out a way to make that happen. Not necessarily my area of expertise, or I will lovingly pass along to Susan that someone wants to learn that, and we'll figure out who can teach that to you. But I'm Erin. This is the Jewel School Designer Showcase on Thursdays, and I will see you next week at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 Central. Have a great day. Bye.